The Southern Vermont Communications Union District, one of the CUDs that have emerged over the past year to help facilitate bringing modern levels of broadband and internet service to currently unserved or underserved homes and addresses, has reached a memorandum of understanding with Consolidated Communications, an internet and telephone company which has been one of the internet service providers in northern New England for several years, to begin the planning which both sides hope will eventually lead to offering the underserved addresses in Bennington County modern levels of broadband service. The first step in the process is for both parties to apply and receive a federal grant known as an NTIA grant, short for National Telecommunications and Information Administration, a federal agency that's part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. If approved, the grant will help pay for the design and the deployment of fiber optic cable to all addresses in the CUD that currently do not have access to modern internet service, where up to now it hasn't been economically viable for private firms like CCI to run wire. We had a chance to speak with Eric Garr, the president of Consolidated Communications Consumer and Small Business, about the agreement and the Memorandum of Understanding, which the CUD's Board of Directors approved during a meeting on July 28th.
Yeah, right now the team is hard at work getting the grant application ready for NTIA, which is the federal agency that is distributing funds that the CUD wants to compete for. So part of our work with them is we're doing a lot of the planning work and documentation of what would be required to serve the unserved addresses so that we can submit a competitive grant request in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I think, it's a partnership. And what we expect is much of what we'll do will be building networks and serving customers just like we do elsewhere in Vermont. And their role will be as a new kind of government agency that will provide some oversight and some advice as we seek to do that in that community. We have assets in the area already because we have a fiber network that serves some businesses in the area. So that gives us a little bit of a head start, which I'm not sure some of our competitors have. I think the other asset we have is we're building in Vermont today. So we've passed more than 30,000 homes on our way to 50,000 homes to pass with fiber in Vermont this year. So we're not starting from scratch. This is really about planning our deployment for next year. And we have teams in the field doing work today. So I think that's another advantage that we have. And I think that the third one is it's not an advantage yet, but I think it's an opportunity. We're a different company than we were a year ago. We have new investors. There's some new leaders, myself included. And we think that gives us a chance to really grow as a company, improve our service, kind of come into the next century with a great fiber network across northern New England. And we're on our way to doing that.
We also met up with Sheila Kearns, the clerk of the Southern Vermont CUD, to get their side of the story.
What is happening next, or is happening right at this moment, is the very labor-intensive process of applying for the NTIA grant. Our procurement process and the Memorandum of Understanding was one of the required precursors for applying for this grant. And the CUD board members worked very hard to pull this together in a very short amount of time, as well as the partner we have reached an agreement with, Consolidated Communications. So that is what our that is what our focus is for the next 2 weeks before the grant deadline hits. If the opportunity arises while we're doing this work to talk about terms of a contract with Consolidated that would be put in place before the grant monies could be would be used or spent, we would do that as well, but I think we have enough on our plate just trying to get the NTIA grant together. What will happen with the grant is that the funds we request in that final amount that will be determined as we proceed through the application and the details of precisely what our project will involve comes about. But the funds will be granted to the Communication Union District, and then the Communication Union District would apply those funds to a contract that will be developed with Consolidated in order to bring fiber-based internet service to the agreed upon addresses in our district where Consolidated currently offers service. Those addresses are addresses where, to our knowledge, with the various sources of information that we have, those are addresses where there is no internet service offering anything greater than 25.3. In other words, 25 megabits of speed when you're receiving information from the internet, and 3 megabits of speed when you are sending information out into the internet. So if you live in a place where the only means of your, in our CUD, where the only means of getting internet is through DSL, then in all likelihood, that is where the fiber will start appearing.
The COVID pandemic brought home to many the importance and necessity of high-speed modern broadband service, as remote work, remote learning, and other services like telemedicine became necessities. The NTIA grant is separate from the ARPA, or American Rescue Plan Act, which is also directing federal funds to help wire up rural and underserved areas. The next steps envisioned, and once initial planning is complete, would be the actual laying of internet infrastructure next year, possibly in the spring, depending on weather conditions. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.